Happy Pride Month, everybody. This is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about how the 7 of 9 and Raffi relationship should have been handled a heck of a lot more serious in Star Trek Picard. The relationship between 7 of 9 and Raffi have left a lot of Star Trek fans confused and bewildered. Well, some, you know what I'm saying? Others are extremely happy for it, but there are others who are just kind of like, how did this all start? And did the writers ever truly have a plan? Because it felt like they never really had no intentions of hooking these two up together. And of course, that led many people to scream online talking about, oh, this is woke. Oh, this is forced. Oh, they just checking off the boxes. But sadly, when you watch the end result of this, it does start to feel like they was just checking things off the box and just adding diversity and inclusion in just for the sake of adding it in. But how exactly did this all start? Because, a lot of Star Trek fans who watch Star Trek Voyager, and of course that's how they got introduced to 7 of 9, they don't remember her ever being attracted to women. So let's go back into the 90s and stuff. So when 7 of 9 were disconnected from the Borg and started looking more human, they gave her two love interests in the beginning. Harry Kim on the left and that of the Doctor on the right. Now, with Harry Kim, she was just starting to be more human and she wasn't interested in nobody. However, being 7 of 9 and wanting to be the best that she can be, she wanted to explore the possibility of a relationship and practice on that of Harry Kim, being confused and all this and that because he was attracted to her and she could see that. So basically, she asked him, hey, you want to engage in some hanky-panky? Which he started to get scared and basically just run out, confusing her even more. So it was never nothing she really wanted to do. It was just something more like, hey, this feels like a homework assignment. Maybe I should study up on it. It was a funny comedic, moment. And one of it was a really good episode. What was that episode about? Was this the one where the Doctor went to that alien ship with B'Elanna and turned out to be a hologram and the hologram was crazy? I think it was. That was a good episode, man. Oh, I love that episode. Anyway, but then there is the Doctor. And I never liked the idea of the Doctor crushing on 7 of 9. Not because he's a hologram, just because the actor is much older. But, this is the 24th century and age has no number. And so, it was just, he was her mentor and everything. And he started to crush on her, which was kind of gross because he's kind of like a teacher to her. And when he kept making advances towards her, she clearly was not interested. Especially when he poured his heart out to her and she still just was not interested. Then came her actual two love interests. One, I forgot this dude's name on the left, Avark or something like that. It was Unimatrix Zero episode. Basically, she had no idea who this dude was. And then when they started interacting, memories started to flood her and she started to feel something towards him but had no idea why. The reason was it because when Borgs regenerate, they kind of go in, or some of them go into a sleep mode, like an actual real sleep mode. And so some Borg created Unimatrix Zero, where they can escape the collective, live their lives out normal and everything in this kind of dreamlike state. And apparently him and her had a relationship together, but she doesn't remember it. And she is kind of irritated at first about that, but then she warms up to it and wants to be with him, but only realizes that him and her are on the opposite sides of the quadrant and everything. So she couldn't be with him. It was romantic, it was touching, And it was sad when they couldn't be together. Then there is the whole Jacote thing, which is gross and nasty. I'm sorry, it just was. He's her commanding officer. She's like, a person on board that ship. And for whatever reason, towards the last season, in the last couple of episodes, the writers decided to hook him and her up together and have them start dating. It felt wrong, it felt unnatural, it felt completely out of nowhere, and it never made no sense. Especially that of the age, not my camera over, that of the age and everything. And so apparently this came about because the actor was starting to get frustrated on the show because his character had less and less to do once 7 to 9 appeared in the fourth season. So I guess to make him happy, the writers thought, well, let's just hook those two up together. But I think even he did not like that, I don't think. And none of the fans liked it either. I especially hated it. Personally, for me, I always wanted her to hook up with Harry Kim, only because he crushed on her first. They're both around the same age, and like Harry, they did not write him good at all. That dude had a struggle, both the actor and like the character. So it would have been nice for him to hook up with the hot girl. But now that brings me to Star Trek, Picard and everything. And the whole like 7 to 9 and Raffi thing, which blew a lot of people's minds away, but not in a good way because it was just kind of like, how did this all come to be? Now, this picture right here is how it started and everything. Those two holding hands at the very last couple of seconds in the last episode of the season finale of season 1. This right here. And so many fans asked themselves, wait, are they in a relationship? But they had no scenes together. I don't even think they ever talked in the entirety of season 1. So how the heck did this all happen? It made people think, oh, they're just checking this off a box or just like whatever, you know what I'm saying? So what caused these two to be together, right? This photo right here. So this photo was just a regular photo that Jerry Ryan and Michelle Hurd took. Now, Michelle Hurd has played LGBT characters in the past, but she is married to a man, as is Jerry Ryan. She is also married to a man. Are they bi or whatever? Heck if I know in real life, but I just know they're both married to men. And so this photo is kind of what started it at a convention and everything. So basically, there's a couple of stories that's been going around. There's at least 3. One is that Jerry Ryan and the actor who plays Hugh, and the actor who plays Hugh is actually a gay man, joked around that 7 to 9 should be like a lesbian, and that's kind of how the ball got started. But Michelle Hurd tells a different like story. In this article and everything on, what is it, Screen Rant, the interviewer, which I don't agree entirely with the interviewer, but whatever. But anyway, so like Michelle Hurd said her and Jerry were looking good. They took a picture together and she could see that the producers and writers were like whispering to each other as they was looking at them. And she feels like this is how it all got started, that they had this in mind at the very start. That can't be true because if they truly had this in mind, they would have wrote them with some scenes together in season 1 of Picard. But I don't remember at all them two ever interacting. They might have said, it might have been in the same room, but that's about it. But they didn't talk. And maybe they said one word to each other, but that's about it. There was nothing that suggested that these two dated each other or liked each other or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Jerry tells a slightly different story. So basically, these two, like I said before, took a picture in 2019 at a convention. And she said she emailed it to one of the producers, who was the creator at that time, the showrunner, and joked around saying the hottest lesbian couple, something, something, something. And so this is then when the actor who plays Hugh, who is also friends with that of Jerry Ryan, he basically apparently emailed him, the showrunner, about this pitching ball, like, yo, I can feel the chemistry between these two and we should get like the ball rolling and blah 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 blah. And this apparently is really what happened and stuff. Their relationship just started off with a simple picture and a joke. And so the writers took it from there. But you can tell that the writers had no idea what they was doing, or had any intentions of putting these two together. And the picture is a harmless picture. It doesn't even look like they're like together in a romantic kind of way. But for whatever reason, they just ran with this and stuff. Now, the thing is like, remember that interviewer I said? She said that in season 1 of Picard, you can clearly tell that Raffi and 7 and 9 are into women. 7 and 9, you kind of can, because of that woman from that bar that killed Egypt and everything. It seemed like her and 7 had a relationship. Raffi, on the other hand, I never got no kind of inkling that she might have been into women. She was a druggie. Her life went to like crap. And she had a son, a grown adult son, who wanted nothing to do with her. I never got the hint that she was into women. But then come Picard season 2. In Picard season 2, Raffi and 7 and 9 are an actual item now, because of that one scene at the very end of season 1. But season 2 deals with an alternate reality caused by Q. In this alternate reality, 7 and 9 is now married to a man. And so they go back in time to fix, the past. And in the past, and all throughout season 2, all 7 and 9 and Raffi do is bicker and argue. Even when they're strolling downtown and in the streets, you never see them act like a couple, and you never see them hold hands and stuff. Yes, they are on a mission, but you think they could leisurely walk down the street and just hold hands, and that what was it, the 21st century? I forget, it was a few years ago, like 2024, something like that. But they never acted like they liked each other. They just argued about everything. And I mean everything. And it was to the point when you can realize the writers had nothing for them. Literally nothing for them and stuff. Because they never had no intentions of putting these two together. Then comes season 3 and they have broken up. Raffi has apparently went back to her old ways of doing drugs and drinking alcohol and this and that, and 7 and 9 somehow became a commander on a starship. And so it turns out Raffi was just bluffing. She was undercover and had to go back to her old ways, which caused the breakup between these two. I don't think 7 and 9 knew about it because it was an undercover, deep cover type mission. But when they got reunited towards the last couple of episodes, and especially the last scene of season 3, the series finale, we now see these two. 7 of 9 is now a captain, and Raffi is now her first officer commander. Somehow got her recommissioned back and stuff. And so it's never explained if these two are back in a relationship or not. Michelle did an interview where it seems like no, these two are not in a relationship, but they're going to be working together very close as captain and first officer, but says that Raffi does love 7 of 9. Once again, the writers had no intentions of putting these two together. And so it's very frustrating and stuff, because it's frustrating for a lot of reasons. 7 of 9 is a very beloved character. I've never liked her in the Picard series. She always seemed less intelligent and always seemed angry and always just wanted to shoot people and stuff. And, the LGBT community is a community that is striving, but they are also struggling because those in the government and those of certain religions don't want them to exist. So they're having an uphill battle with just wanting to be accepted in who they are. Sorry, my camera died. Okay, where was I? So it's like they're a community that just wants to be who they are, accepted in the world and live their lives as be. But they have an opposition. They have the government and they have like religious people like demonizing them and putting them down and stuff. Then you got those toxic YouTubers who help enable this, and a bunch of like just bigoted people who just do not like them. So one would assume that, you have this show, it's always been progressive, even back in the day. And for the first time in the show, we have like, an actual lesbian couple. Now, of course, Discovery had the very first gay couple and stuff. And that was rocky in the first two seasons, especially when they killed one of them off and then resurrected him. But then they fixed it in season 3. But here it's like they never tried to fix their relationship. It was just always kind of like, I truly believe the writers and creators and showrunners never, never, never intended for them to be together and just never wanted them to be. But because of that last scene and this and that and all the hype it was getting, they just ran with it, but never truly gave it the care that it deserved. I could care less if these two are in a relationship, but it's just like, write them better. They were never ever written to ever be happy, ever to be like truly joyful together, nothing like that. And it left a sour taste in my mouth and the mouths of lots of other people, because that whole relationship was treated as just kind of like a joke. And that's how it started, a joke and everything. It's like, I don't understand them, because if they really truly wanted to write them as like a better couple, they know how to do that in New Trek. They've done that with other characters and stuff. They've done that with Data's daughter and that Romulan guy in season 1. I think the Romulan guy, he was either a Romulan or he pretended to be human. I can't remember. But he was with Data's daughter. And they wrote them so beautifully and so romantic that you wanted those two to get together. But of course, at the end, they never did. So why in the world couldn't they do the same thing for 7 and 9 and Raffi? They had 3 whole seasons to build these characters up in a really meaningful like relationship, but they squander it because I truly, like I said before, they just never intended to let them two be together. It started as a joke and they ran with it. You don't create nothing based off of like a joke. You need to have a plan early on. And if somebody pitches you with an idea and you run with it, you actually need to take the time and care to map that plan out. And they did not do that here. And it's a shame, you know what I'm saying? Because people gravitate towards TV and movies. People gravitate towards characters and stuff, especially characters they like. And people always want characters to have kind of like a happy ending, or some people will actually see a relationship on screen, but like, oh, that reminds me of my relationship, or this person I know, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like they're just playing around. And of course, there is no 7 and 9 being a captain spinoff, so we will never know what happened to these two. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.